Good. Going good. Just finished up second practice, getting ready for South Carolina State. In preparation for these guys coming in, play here at Bobby Dodd on Saturday. Excited to be home in the stadium, and after a good crowd and really good atmosphere last Friday night at the Benz. Really excited to get here and play at our stadium and be able to run out of the tunnel with the team. And it's exciting to play South Carolina State too. And while talking about them, when I'm talking about their head coach, Coach Pugh is a legend in his conference, in his division, in his level of football. He finished up his 22nd year at his alma mater. He'll be retiring after this season. We were privileged to play them many years ago when I was at UCF, and gave us a dogfight. His teams are well prepared. They play hard. They've got some good players on their team in spots that we'll have to be aware of. But again, I wanted to make sure I noted that in his retirement. And it's an honor to be able to coach against him on his final ride as the head coach after 22 seasons there at South Carolina State. So, hitting the field today, we started on Sunday night and started with corrections and then get into the game prep some, and then back out today with a full pad day, and really building on the things that were good and continuing those things going, and correcting mistakes and the things that we've got to build. We've got to correct them and got to learn from, and that's what we've done. We've spent a lot of time today really focusing on ourselves and those mistakes. And look, if you allow it to, the most improvement can be made between game 1 and game 2. But in order to do that, you've got to be able to self-assess. You've got to be critical of yourself individually, collectively as a unit, and then myself collectively as a team. And that's what we've been able to do is spend really the day Saturday and then to the latter part of the day on Sunday, doing that and being critical. From the small things, individually, player-wise, to position group, to each side of the football, to then collectively as the entire team, and that's what we've been addressing. And then at the same time, you want to continue to build on the things that were done well, and the speed we're able to play at, the spurts we're able to have on each side of the football, some of the situational football that was good. You have to continue to build on those things, otherwise you lose sight of those. So that's the challenge, is being able to do both of those, and the self-assessment to make sure that those things are taking place. So again, like always, we're not going to dwell on the past of past games, especially one from Friday night. And we've had that extra day in there to get those things cleaned up, and it couldn't have come at a better time after game 1, now going into the second game of the season and getting ready to hit a good run. So with that, open up for any questions.
I know you don't like talking about injuries. I was just curious if you had an update on any of the guys, particularly Sylvain, that looked tough.
He'll have another checkup tomorrow, so probably should know further after that. But he was out there and suited up today, but we'll see tomorrow. And that's usually the way we work it. We want those guys, if they're going to play on a Saturday, to be able to practice on a Wednesday. So we'll see with that moving forward. Other guys, everyone else is fine. Was back out practicing today.
Coach, what was the impact on 7 explosive plays that you think you could carry into game 2, keeping the offense and the continuity going with those big pops? Yeah,
and that's what we have to do. That's talking about the things to build on. That's definitely one of them. It's a football in general, but especially college football, is a game of explosives. Who can create and generate explosives, and then who can limit those? So finding out the ways we were able to create those, the way we've got to continue to do those, play complementary football at the same time, and then on defense, breaking down and saying, okay, why did the explosives occur? And being able to adjust and fix those things that we're able to limit them on that side. So now you're talking a swing of a couple hundred yards when you start to look at it that way. So that's what we've been working on. We've got some explosive players on offense now, and continue to get those guys in the swing of the game and get the ball in their hands.
You lost a couple players, and you made some changes along the offensive line during the game. Mm-hmm. One of those was the freshman, Ethan McKinney. What did you see from him, and do you feel like we could see him again this week?
Yeah, you'll see him again this week. He's he's a very talented young man Ethan is a guy that we've had in camp for several years. I've known him for a long time. I've obviously known his family for many, many years. Super talented guy that is really growing into his body. 290 plus pound guy now. That I remember the first time having him in camp, he was about 225 pounds, about 6'5", running around. I said, if this kid can ever grow in his body, he's got a chance. And lo and behold, he certainly has. He's going to be a fine football player. He really is. He plays the game the right way. When had an opportunity to get in the game, thought he might before the game, but didn't know for sure if he would. Opportunity presented himself, and he ran with it. The moment was not too big for him at all. He was as dialed in and locked in as if he would, had started, 10, 15, 20 games up to that point. Are there corrections and things he's got to, get better at? Yeah, there definitely is. But for the first time out there, I thought he did a fine job, especially in the run game. He really did, did some good things. Behind him in the running game, he plays the game the right way. He's an O lineman at heart, and I'm saying that in a good way. So the more experience he continues to get, the better he'll continue to become.
How did you assess the play of the defensive line Friday?
Yeah, they were solid in a lot of areas in the run game. I thought at times we got high. Pad level started raising up and got them underneath us sometimes. There were some things on some stunts, some various stunts we had where we might have been a little slow getting to the gap, getting across. And then as a defense as a whole, we've got to continue to work on, disengaging from blocks and defeating the blocks. Then that's all positions of getting the extension, finishing at the ball carrier. From a pass rush standpoint, too many times, the ball was coming out quick. He didn't. The credit to Louisville and the quarterback did a nice job of getting the ball out quick. But at the same time, we've got to be able to, hit edges and work edges. When we run the line games, be able to take those games and get vertical and penetrate, and as opposed to getting stuck on an individual blocker. Like I said, working the edges at different times, and a lot of that comes back to using our hands and continuing to get guys off of us, and that goes for everybody on defense, really both sides of the football.
Watching games this weekend, watching y'all's game and other ones, the edge tackling, the one-on-one tackling is not great just across college football in game one usually. And I know probably some of that has to do with the way practices have changed and whatnot, but kind of how do you work on that? Like, is that just something you have to kind of deal with in the first couple of games as these guys get used to the speed and playing in space like that?
Yeah, well, you don't want to deal with it by any means. We've been dealing with it for the last 3 days, or really 2 of the last 3. One was off day. But, yeah, it does. And really, you guys remember last week I talked a lot about, I know where this team is relative to this team, playing each other. Now, how are we relative to an opponent? That's going to be the real telltale sign, and that's what the first game is. It's that real telltale of how you are compared to someone else. You know how you are as a rush end or versus the tackle you're going against, and vice versa. You know how you are with tackling the running back or the receivers that you have, or defending the tight end that you have. But now relative to another team, okay, now we see where that is, and there's really no way to gauge that until you go out and play a game. And it's something that we work on all the time. Every day is some form of a tackling circuit. We had over 400 live reps of scrimmage over the summer, and there are things that from the first scrimmage to the last scrimmage that were improved on. They were, but we've still got a ways to go with it. And now really seeing where you are compared to another team, and where you are compared to another skill set, so call it. Now you really can find in on, or hone in on some of those finer points even of what individually and collectively we've got to get better at. And we got to have confidence too that when we go take that shot to make that tackle, that we've got 10 other guys behind us. That's a big thing that we've talked about. And somebody throws a quick hitch or a slant, or a bubble out wide, you don't assume that thing's going to come down. You've got to have 10 other people running over their hair on fire, ready to have that guy's back. And so we've worked on that as well.
Coach, your third down numbers pretty good. What would you like to see continue, especially what you guys did in the first half, and what would you like to see different throughout the game on Saturday?
Yeah, we talk about setting an identity or setting, creating who you are. Again, it goes back relative to playing that first opponent. And I thought at times, to be honest with you, I thought as we went through that second quarter and we got into the third, it was almost like, wow, we can do this. It was that, and it just, and that momentum was going so much in the second quarter. And you come into halftime and it's, everyone's got the right frame of mind. Right, but at the same time, you go out on the third quarter and you have a lull, really, in all three phases of the game. Well, we've got to understand that momentum is just what it is. It's momentum, right? It's not something that continues. Momentum, and there's ebbs and flows in football games. That's why there's a halftime in games, right? That's why a different team gets the ball to start the second half, right? And whatever internally, for a young man might allow him to think, oh, this is just going to keep going because you may, being shocked in the second quarter of the success that was occurring, and then you got to get to that third quarter and restart it and get it going again. So, being able to play off of what you did early on in the football game, keep that consistency going when you do have a 3 and out. As an offense, defense has to respond. Which I thought they did in the first half. Did a fantastic job. We throw the interception on the third play of the game, and defense steps right up and bows their necks back and holds them to a field goal right there. All right, well, that's going to happen in football games. You hope it doesn't, but it does. And we've got to bow our necks back on the other side of the football and get the ball back, and the offense have the confidence to go back out and do what they did in the second quarter, and that's what we're hoping to look for. Stats are just what they are. They're stats. They're on a piece of paper. All right, the only thing that really matters is what's on that scoreboard at the end of the football game.
Coach, what kind of issues does South Carolina State maybe present to you guys? And like you said, you got a legendary coach that's kind of going up against you as well.
Yeah. Well, first off, he's a legendary coach. He's always going to have a few tricks up his sleeve. You can bet that. Offensively, they're going to run the football. They've got a couple quarterbacks that can make plays with their feet. They're going to try to get the ball on the edge with the quarterback. They got 2 freshman running backs, number 20 and number 22, both really good football players. One of them's a big, strong back, gets north and south. The other one a little more compact, but has a way of doing some other things, slipping out on little slip screen routes, flaring out of the backfield. Some of the things that we've got to be aware of. On the defensive side of the football, I think they were 4th in the country in FCS last year in havoc plays, disruption, negative plays. They've got 2 guys on the D line, number 43 and number 34. They can cause some issues, and just schematically with their defense, they're penetrating up the field defense. They're going to try to get in the backfield. They're going to try to cause havoc. They're not going to play on their side of the line. It's and they got a linebacker number 11 who has a chance to be an all-conference player for them. So there's a skill set there. There's things that we obviously we're aware of schematically on both sides of the football that we've got to address. And but going out today, it was about us. It was about what we've got to continue to build on and what we've got to what we had to learn from and correct from the first game. Because if we can do that, now we have a chance to be able to go out and be successful and get the win on Saturday.
I know you're pissed you lost the game, but it seemed like there was a lot to be encouraged about by what you saw from your team playing a good Louisville team. And just kind of what are, I guess, the positive takeaways that you take out of what you saw Friday night and can carry over into the next few games?
Yeah, you have to be able to, you have to be able to come in on, the day after and make the corrections, and be level-headed about it. 5 years ago, if somebody told me that's the way I'd be after games, everybody thought I was, they said I was crazy. But anybody that knows me, but you have to be. You're the rock of the team, of the organization, for the coaching staff. And I told the team, yeah, we're all pissed. The team was pissed. That they let one slip away. The coaching staff was. Right? But at the same time, you wake up and I think there were 48 games involving Power 5 teams this past weekend, and Sunday morning, or actually by this morning, 48 people think they're winning the national championship, and 48 think the end of the world's coming, and neither one's true. All right, so as the head of the program, you've got to make sure that one game doesn't lead to two, doesn't lead to three, doesn't lead to four. And we do take the positives. I mean, we talk about playing hard, playing fast. I thought the guys played hard. There's no consolation for playing hard, though. I think we look like a much faster football team. I think the way we've prepared, the way we've trained, really the entire offseason and then through preseason camp with the same physicality, it shows. Right, that's something we've got to continue to do. We've got to continue to understand that preparation is the way that you end up playing. We talk about playing discipline. I mean, to go first game of the season, and we had 2 penalties in the game. 2 that we can't have, but there were. We showed discipline. We showed being able to play. Go out and have fun. I mean, the guys were having fun, but they were dialed in. They were locked in. They played with the discipline. It's one thing if you go out and you play loose and and all of a sudden there's penalties flying all over the place, and but that's not the case. I mean, they understand that there's a certain attitude and demeanor you have to play the game of football, and you can't be anxious and uptight, right? But you still have to play with discipline, and so we accomplished that. Some of the situational football. I thought if you look at statistically, which means nothing, but it means something when you carry over to how you're preparing and the things you want to build on. Third downs. Defensively on third downs. Did a nice job getting off the field. Offensively of staying on the field. Now some of those middle downs, the first and second downs, we have to continue to stay on the field. We have to get positive yards. I don't think we didn't have a lot of negative plays offensively, which has been an issue before. When you come out on P&10 drive starters, we're able to for a good portion of the game get drives going. I think we got a quarterback that can make plays with his arm and his feet. So that's a very positive. The running backs, we had 4 guys end up getting in there and playing, and then we found some young guys out there. We had some young guys that went out and played meaningful snaps, and we'll continue to play more and more meaningful snaps. So those are some of the positives, but at the same time, it's about building on those as well as it is correcting the things that didn't allow you to be successful and get the win.
You look at, you look at the running back position. Is that the one position that's going to change their rotation week by week based on how they played and how they're practicing, maybe more so than other positions? And you look at Trey Cooley came off the sidelines and gave you a big lift there. And what did you see from him?
Yeah, Trey did a nice job. Ball slipped out right there at the end on the goal line, which is unacceptable. But so that's one of the things that's been being addressed. It's consistently being addressed with it. And I say addressed, not just talked about. Actually, worked on and worked to fix an issue. We can't have that though. Jamal. I think everybody knows how high I've been on Jamal, really all camp, and just the electric player that he is, and the ability to be a factor in the run game and the passing game, is a huge bonus for us as a football team. And then people don't see it, but he's also out there. He's on kickoff return. He's on kickoff cover. He's running down the field. He had a dual number on, so he had to put a cover up over it. Looked like he had his big brother's jersey swinging down below him on the kickoff cover. But he's out there. He loves playing the game. He's a firecracker out there on the sideline, and you love having those guys on the team that love playing football. But it's not just running backs; it's every position. Our job is to put the best 11 guys out there every football game. You hope those 11 guys continue to get better and better and better. But what makes a good football team is competition. Is guys that can get out and rise to the challenge, that can continue to develop. And that's what we'll do. We're going to play the guys that give us the best chance, week in and week out. And hopefully you do have guys that continue to compete and battle and prove themselves.
Two-parter, Coach. What did you see from the special teams kicking operation? One was way out, you get past 50, but the second one, what did you see from the operation? And then how was the fourth quarter? How different was it with the new clock rule changes as, score was starting to change and strategy has to change along with the clock? Yeah,
that was something we were, talking about the kicking game first. We were going to be aggressive in the football game. Clayton came up with the interception right before half, 5 seconds left, and some conventional wisdom would be to take a knee and get out of Dodge, and we're not playing the game that way. We're not. We're going to be aggressive. We're going to have belief in the players to go out and execute and do their job. Came up a little short on it. The first half kickoffs, sailing through the back of the end zone. Hit one short right before the second half, which and then we get down there and we have a field goal opportunity to put us in. I think it would have put us up 8 maybe, or I can't remember the game that long ago now, but had a chance to put us in a good position right there, and hit it thin. He's been kicking the ball well, again today, with pressure on him in live field goal situations out there today. So I've got confidence in Gavin. I've got complete confidence in Gavin to go out there and to do his job. At the same time, it's no different than the running backs and the offensive line or the D line or DBs or receivers. We're going to play the best guys that give us the best chance to go win. And went back out. He's a competitor. He's going to go out and compete. He went out and competed today, and he's booming them. So I've got just as much faith and confidence in him as I did when I had him 5 seconds left in the first half to put that one through. So I thought the punt team, David Shanahan, put three balls inside the 10-yard line. Drive starting on the 9, the 8, and the 8. Much improvement there with him. And credit to to Ricky and the scheme that we've been able to to really know all the ins and outs of, and his scheme, being multiple, being able to protect but also cover. The guys did a nice job in coverage of getting down the field, understanding their coverage responsibilities and coverage lanes. So that was a big part of the field position game. We've got to continue that. We're playing a team that's going to come after the ball this week. It's on tape. That's what they do. So we've got to be good in protection. We've got to get the ball off. So what you did the last game is only as good as the next game until the next game. So, but I was really happy with the improvement that David had made. With the touch on the ball, the ability to understanding the situations and where the ball needs to go. So, as a coach, that gives you a lot of confidence. When you start getting the ball across the 50-yard line, and by the book, he starts getting those go areas. Well, it does factor in field goal. As a coach, well, what's the field goal line? Okay, now what's the sky punt line to get the ball down inside the 10? Well, when you got a kicker that can put it through uprights, you got a punter that can put it down inside the 10. All right, that gives you a lot more confidence in that area of the field, especially when that clock starts rolling. And I thought the second half the clock showed up a little bit more than it did in the first. The first was there were some penalties out there that caused some delays on the clock. So you really didn't get into the flow of the new clock running until the second half. But we were able to say, organizationally, operationally, as a team, anytime you can have all 3 timeouts sitting there at the end of the half and the end of the game, your team's done something right as far as the organization and substitutions and those things, and it allows you now, when that clock starts to roll down, to have them in your favor. So once you're under 2 minutes, it's under 2 minutes, but it's that kind of 3 minutes and 40 seconds, 4 minutes, 3 minutes and 40 seconds, that time right there where it does, depending on how the plays, how the plays come out and the efficiency of the plays, where that thing does start moving a little bit faster. So, that we prepared for it, and I thought we were on point with it.
All right. If there's nothing else, we'll go ahead and wrap up. Thanks.
All right, appreciate you guys. Go Jackets.